And we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 95 of Fans of Power. I am Joe, no nickname Amato, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Tyler T Rex Baker. What's going on, T Rex?
You're the VIP of the MOC.
The VI, yeah, not quite sure what any of that would probably stand for me, but
The very person of men on card.
men on card. Okay, I guess it can work. Whatever you can do to float in there, because usually, like I said, nicknames
No, the
don't work with.
VIP of the MOC. I like that. Yeah, I'm copywriting that.
Okay, well, hey, that kind of does have a flow. I'll admit, I kind of like that.
Of course you do.
I'll take that. I'll
Yeah,
take that.
yes. So there will be no more of these. What the hell can I call them now to sound witty and clever and funny, and then fall flat on my face here? It will be the VIP of the MOC.
All right, I like it, man. So, will you recover from earlier? Because you did a podcast earlier today with Larry
Dear
Houston, which
God,
was
man,
fantastic.
I was so drained, like emotionally, from that interview. I just, it was quite exhilarating to answer for people who don't know what I'm talking about. We interviewed Larry Houston again, and for fans of Mutant Power, a spinoff episode about his time on the X-Men animated series. Just got tons and tons of info answered about that, as well as on other uh, um, appearances of the X-Men and other animated series that he worked on, and he'll be coming back for another edition of that as well.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, I mean, of course, I'm always psyched to do He-Man no matter what, but that was emotionally draining because of all the excitement that went on to that one.
Yeah,
So
I thought I was going
yes,
to be
I'm
here by.
ready to head back to Eternia
All
tonight.
right, I thought I was going to maybe be by myself talking, but well, we got you here, so that's good. You got your energy back, so
I'm ready for double impact.
there you go. Pretty good movie. Yeah, Van Damme's movies. The early ones are good. Then they started hitting, going down, but you know how that
Yeah,
is.
straight to video stuff is
Yep,
unwatchable for the
same
most
thing with
part.
Seagal. But well, first I wanted to say hello to JSP in the chat room, and also a happy belated birthday to JSP in the chat room. So happy belated
Birthday.
Yep, indeed. And also I want to give an early birthday shout out to our buddy Paul Rudman. It's going to be his birthday this Tuesday, so happy
Oh,
birthday,
happy
Paul.
birthday there, Paul.
Yeah, so we got a lot of birthday stuff going on. We got belated, we got stuff coming up. So the Masters fans are in full force, and they're here with us.
I kind of like that we do birthday shows, kind of like the local news, like when they send in pictures of like these senior citizens. Gertrude Arthur is 105 today, and Arthur McMillan is 102 today. It's always like photos of like senior citizens, but that's what makes me think we're doing here.
I was gonna
But
say so.
we're the only He-Man podcast that wishes happy birthdays to our listeners. So that's something you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, belated and to come. But now they got to feel like now they're gonna feel like senior citizens. Okay, like
That's just what I'm thinking. People who watch their local news, maybe it's just my area, but like the local news, they'll have like birthdays for either like little toddlers that are turning or little kids that are turning 5, or senior citizens who are over the age of 100, or something like that. And I used to like wonder if my picture's ever going to be on the news when it's my birthday. And of course, no one ever thinks to send my picture into local news, But that's just what makes me think. Maybe it's like that, completely different in other places.
oh yeah, I'm sure everywhere's got something different. But
Who
well
doesn't
anyway,
hear happy birthday from other He-Man fans though?
yep. And they both said thanks. We have them in the chat room with us, so they both wanted to say thank you. And hey, no problem, it's our pleasure. We got Grim Dagon. He's in the chat room also, and he gave a happy birthday to them both. So got some people
Cool.
up here in the chat room with us. So, well, like I said, there's a few topics today. This first one, you never know. It depends. It could go long, and heck, everybody in the chat room, if you want to join in with your, choices too, we want to do something a little different. We figured we would discuss what action figures from back in the 80s did you really wish would have been in the cartoon? Now, of course, we wish there would be all of them. I would have loved to see them all, but I put something to Tyler, and we're gonna do this back and forth. We can only pick one heroic warrior that we would love to see in the cartoon more than anything from the vintage toys, one evil warrior, and one horde member. Of course, there's not many choices from the horde members, but I mean, this was spinning in my head, and I have them by me just in case, because I don't want people saying, "Oh man, you guys, had this set up to who said what first." But I told Tyler, I said, "I have my figures right here, so he knows I'm not lying." And if we say the same
I don't
thing,
have figures set up here, so I'm going by what I had already chosen ahead of time.
all right. Well, like I said, there's just so many things because, like I said, I
Now,
could.
let me ask you about this too. Now, is this going along the guidelines of when we were kids and didn't
Yes. Now,
know
as
who
we
was
were
in it or
kids,
not? Because for
thank you for
me,
saying that. No, I'm glad you said that. Thanks for saying that. This is as if we were kids, because Tyler was saying along the lines of, well, Joe, the cartoon would have been over by the time some of the later waves came out. But remember, me and Tyler had different ways that we experienced the cartoon, if you will. Me, I was with it as it was on TV, thinking it was still going to keep coming on with new and new episodes. Tyler loves the stories, of course, of always telling about the video rentals. But me, when it came around 86, 87, even 88, you'd have syndication of the cartoon. And just because, like I said, you'd see it on TV and there's reruns, we didn't know because we didn't have internet and stuff. We didn't know the cartoon was canceled. I was telling Tyler, and I'm sure maybe some of you guys can experience this too. I always remembered wanting a new episode to come out of He-Man. And I remember the first time I seen, how it always says, and only 3 others share this secret. And in the original first season, it has just text. But then in season 2, it would show the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko standing there in that collage photo. So the first time I seen that, I
That
was like,
text is Hal Sutherland, by the way.
well, I know. There you go. See, Tyler's there. He's there to give you everything. But I remember when I seen that first splash picture, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be something new. It's going to be something new. So I was giddy. And then as time passed on, I'm always waiting. I was like, okay, what do we got? And then you seen Hal Sutherland. I was like, oh, son of a gun. It's going to be one of those old repeat episodes. And then you would wait again, and eventually you'd see the collage picture. Like, is it going to be new again? So like I said, this is not under the oppression of what we know now. It's just if we were kids, we had these toys.
That
And
changed the whole dynamic because as a kid, I didn't know Too Bad was in the episodes. Which I'm gonna have to. I'm just addressing this because Too Bad as a child I never saw in the cartoon, and it was my number one.
okay.
And Fisto was my number one heroic warrior, which I eventually would see Fisto when I was in 5th grade to save Skeletor. That was the first time I ever saw Fisto in the cartoon.
Okay.
But that was in 5th grade, and we're talking 94, 95.
Okay. Well, hey, I mean,
So
in
I'm
a
just
way,
telling you this. I'm answering this as an adult,
well,
basically
hey,
who
wait,
actually didn't
I
make
might
it
have
because as a
okay.
kid.
I could have maybe have not explained that to you as well as I should. I thought you meant, you know, our choices now. Can we choose of things that would have been back then, like when it was canceled, and then here came new figures, or did you mean something along the lines of as a kid doing it? But no, I mean you could say it right now as an adult. Just have your choice
Well,
of
that's what I
anything
have
back.
to because the characters that I really wanted to show up did eventually show up. Too Bad was in it, as bad
Okay,
as his appearances were, but
all right.
uh,
Well, your choice. Well, like I said, I'm gonna hold these people in the chat room's choices after I say ours because we got some shooting in right now. But oh God, I can't believe it. Paul Redman, you son of a gun. All right. Well, anyways, I'm gonna say my first, and I'm having them right here, and I'll explain why. I'm gonna say my hero after I'm done saying why. You can say yours, but I'm picking Clamp Champ. The reason I picked Clamp Champ, see, I had a lot of other choices. I was thinking Extendar because I was like, man, it'd be great to have this other super powerful. But then I just said that we had plenty of super powerful, characters. I mean, you could think Ram Man was brute strength. I mean, beyond He Man, it's like, okay, it's kind of been done. So you would start looking at others and Rio Blast. But I was like, we had characters that did a lot of shooting and guns and everything. But when you have Clamp Champ, not only do you have diversity and you're finally having, more, ethnic races, you're having a diversity, you're having white, black, you're having more. It's good to see multicultural, things in the world of Masters of the Universe, but you also have a character that has, as you know from the comics, like super senses. Remember when Ninjor tried to attack him, and then Clamp Champ just caught that arrow and snapped it like nothing. You have a bodyguard. You have somebody super senses. You have this cool thing that would have been cool to see this in action with the clamp going or something. So I think he would have been a really refreshing character to have in the cartoon because he wouldn't be like everybody you've already seen with the same kind of powers. He's a hero that would have a cool background and also have different powers compared to the other, heroic warriors. So Clamp Champ, he's my heroic choice, and it's funny that's exactly what Paul Rudman said was Clamp Champ. So, go ahead. What is yours, Tyler?
oh boy, I gotta love the support for the Master of Capture because Clamp Champ was the first one that came to mind the minute Joe suggested this, and I even
Okay.
said because Joe was just like, we may have the same ones. I'm like, I don't think we're gonna have the same ones for the heroic war because I figured Joe's gonna pick Extendar or Rio Blast,
And
and
I was,
he instantly it's gonna be Clamp Champ. I mean, that was just a no brainer for me. It was just just a character that I have had a soft spot since I saw him on the cross art on the back of the Faker packaging.
Okay.
So I'm always gonna, and it just makes me feel good that there's continuous support for the Master of Capture, Clamp Champ, and I always hated when people would dismiss him as well, he doesn't do anything, and I just want to smack the hell out of him,
Especially if they've seen the mini comic, they know what he does and they know his powers. That's a
typical lazy fanboy answers to everything. They don't know anything because it's so much easier to sit there and say something as naive as that without doing the research. So plus the guy's he's like, it's like Carl Weathers. He's like a big muscular black dude. I mean, who the hell wouldn't want to see something like that next? Fighting alongside He-Man and Fisto. I just he'd have been a perfect addition to the Filmation series and NYP, especially if he's voiced by Keith David or Michael J. White.
right.
That Clan Champ is my choice.
Yeah, and
I love this. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Joe, for selecting.
That's amazing. But no, I mean, Malaktha. Don't get me wrong. It's great. It's great we had Malaktha and he was black and.
No, but I meant a heroic warrior.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I was.
Garn is going to be, the king of his own kingdom. He's not going to be fighting alongside He-Man. We need Clan Champ.
That's what I mean.
Frankly, it's just he's a cool looking character. It's not something of the plagueness of we got to pander and everything like that. No, Clan Champ is a badass looking character. I've always thought that. I always want to know more about him.
Right, because that's what I mean. When you had Malaktha, it wasn't enough. He's an archeologist, and it was great that you had somebody finally black. He's a great character. Right, no, but what I mean is, it's great that you have him. It's great. Malaktha was in there. Like I said, you had somebody black. He's a new character. He has a purpose with what he does in the cartoon, but we finally would have somebody in action doing something that would be a constant heroic warrior, always there with He-Man and them, and adventures with Buzz-Off and Mechaneck and Mossman or whoever else. That's why it would have been just
Clam Champ and Mossman team up. That's what we need to see. Clam Champ and Mossman teaming up.
And then maybe if Stinkor popped up eventually in the cartoon. But all right, that's the heroic warrior. But now I'm going to let you take the choice of the evil warrior. What's your choice of evil warrior?
This one is kind of tossed around a little bit, and really I told Joe, I said, well, most of the evil warriors made it for the most part. I mean, most, not all, obviously.
Right, not all.
But I'm kind of torn between two here at the moment.
All right.
But I feel like one of those things where I'm like, no, wait.
Yeah, well, you can pick one. You'll get one.
Well, I'm going to go with Instinct was Ninjor.
Okay.
Just because the other was Stinkor.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah, but I never felt it was justified why they decided we're not going to do Stinkor because it's a human fart joke and the kids won't get it, as if like kids don't like the idea of a fart joke. But why the hell is Stinkor immediately thought of as a fart joke in Filmation? I thought it was just stupid logic. But Ninjor is my choice because the character it's a ninja. A ninja in the heyday of especially the early 80s and into the mid to late 80s, where the ninja craze was, out of control with, ninja films all over the place.
Over the place, exactly. Especially martial arts. Look at your poster and backing, bro. That was all about martial arts movies too. So.
Yeah, so having Skeletor, call upon Ninjor to his council table in Filmation, I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer. We want to set up that fantastic feud between Clan Champ and Ninjor, and why not do it in Filmation as well?
Right. They're always bound to fight. I mean, if it isn't from the comics or if it isn't from a card back or something, you're right. They're going to be fighting one way or another.
Absolutely. So that is my choice. So, JoJo?
Well, I got my guy here, but I was thinking of Ninjor. I almost grabbed him because I was like, okay, man, we could have Ninjor. It'd be great to have somebody stealthing in the shadows. It would be cool. I was even debating, like I said, even movie characters to pop into the cartoon. If you had Blade or you had Sauron.
Yeah, but it never occurred to me to make sure that the movie characters showed up. of course, I
Still would have been cool. Would have been
it
cool,
would
you
have been
know.
cool. Yes, I just it never even occurred to me to even select Blade or Sorod or Gwildor.
Right. Well, okay. Well, the guy I have here is because again, somebody that would have been different, somebody that could have brought the fright into all of the masters. That's Scareglow. I was right between Scareglow and Ninjor most of the time, but I was like, I gotta go with Scareglow. I think it would just have been so cool to see him in Filmation form, and if they could have the effect of him like glowing in the dark, and you would have just seen like the rib effect and everything, and plus frightening maybe He-Man into submission at some part. That would have been different. You love seeing the heroes vulnerable because then it makes that episode more suspenseful. So I could have just imagined seeing Scareglow frighten He-Man to drop his power sword or something, and maybe he could have got a hold of the power sword and could have had control of that, gave it to Skeletor or anything, but I think he could have brought up some cool little dynamics in the cartoon. Would they have used him as cool as we probably would have liked? No, of course they wouldn't. If he would have probably got the ham
No,
and egg
he'd
treatment.
come in and been camped up since I'm sure he would have been used in the latter part of the series, and as we all know, most of the villains got dumbed down from Too Bad to Spike or
Everybody, yeah, because they couldn't be frightening.
Beast. Everybody got plagued with that moronic mentality of slipping on banana peels and just cowering in fear at everything. So
Yeah.
but I guess it's fun to think about it having appeared had Filmation maintained that first season approach where
Oh,
I mean we're not afraid to be scary to the kids, we're not afraid to be bold and tough and not be so silly.
and with the music, the atmosphere, the music of some of the earlier episodes had was kind of a little more frightening.
Like music from House of Chakotay, I picture that like when you're cutting to a scene where Scareglow is plotting, or he's watching or looking at the royal palace from a distance, and you hear that kind of that very kind of scary type music when the camera pans and sees Rayman guarding the door to Chakotay's house. That's what I think of with Scareglow is approaching the royal palace. The moon is risen, and he's just waiting to go in there and just haunt the hell out of the entire royal palace and just scare everybody to death.
Oh, right, yeah, that would have been cool.
Oh boy, man, well, you and me need to be writing more Filmation episodes. This is just gold. Just a simple episode of him going in there and scaring the piss out of everybody. Then He-Man, Adam gets his stuff together, gets the power sword, and unleashes hell, and then they go duking it out with the power sword against his staff. Oh,
well, hey, if there's anything we got to convince James Eatock to do is after his Faker cartoon comes out to work on a Scareglow cartoon. Let this be the next one.
Yes, Busta, we need you to put together a Scareglow episode. I don't know, just I don't know. Now, Joe, pronounce his name for us correctly.
Well, I'll just say his last name if you want to say Mitrovic. Mr.
Gosh, you can say his last
name. Okay,
Dusan
Mitrovic.
All right, Dusan. Yeah, we need to get Dusan's talents together, see if he can take part of Skeletor and adapt a Scareglow motif on him, since they probably would reuse stock on that or something to that extent.
And some,
that's what we need.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. So, all right, well, that's our choices on Evil. Real quick, let me just say in the chat room, we got Jeremy DeWitt. What's up, Jeremy? It's good seeing you here in the chat room with us. Well, he said he actually wanted to see the different versions of He-Man Skeletor. He said like Battle Armor, Flying Fist, Dragon Blaster, etc. And what's funny is
that too as a kid.
And what's funny is me and Tyler, I forgot, we are going to pick our most wanted variant into cartoon. So good he said that. But then after that, he said, otherwise, he said, I say Scareglow, Mosquito, and Wonder Bread He-Man. Yeah, Wonder Bread He-Man.
Wonder Bread He-Man.
What
a waste of a choice there, Jeremy.
He put a ha-ha after it. I think it's an inside joke. So no, I like it. I like that choice. Let me see. Eric Amon said some of his favorites were, he said some of his favorite figures were Battle Armor He-Man and Skeletor, Thunder Punch He-Man with the caps. He says he don't recall ever appearing in the cartoon. He says that would have been amazing. You keep that in mind. I might have something to say about that. So we'll have that to keep in mind. Now, I'll go to the Horde. Now the Horde, there's not many characters. There's two. There's two choices of Horde characters to appear. So I sat there and I had to think again. And I'll tell you why I picked Dragstore. The reason I picked Dragstore is I was thinking Mosquito, which is very cool, but I thought, you know what? Not that they're the same, but Mosquito, he would like suck you to where he drain your energy and make you dizzy.
I know where this is going.
And I'm going to say Leech. You got Leech, who already kind of drained your power, makes you weak. So I was like, I mean, even though, trust me, Mosquito, I think it'd be cool to having that blood effect if they would have did it in the chest in the cartoon, but they probably wouldn't have. But that's why I picked Dragstore. I was like, well, Dragstore, again, you have somebody that not only is a super powerful character, it would be cool to see this guy getting down to maybe if he had to do something and zooming across Etheria as quickly as he could, knocking out some of the Great Rebellion, but getting him from this spot to this spot. You know, when Hordak needs something done and he needs somebody quick, he's going to call Dragstore because not only is he obviously strong and powerful, but he's the quickest of all their members. So I thought he would have brought a different element to the Horde to where it's something that you wouldn't have seen. Because Mosquito, since he doesn't have the wings, which I still thought would have been cool to see Mosquito with wings, you know, I just felt like, okay, he's just another member of the Horde where he grabs you, sucks you, touches you, whatever. With Dragstore, you don't know when he's going to hit you. He's strong. That's why I picked Dragstore. I think Dragstore would have been a refreshing character choice for the Horde.
I figured Dragstore's voice would probably be like much like Chopper from Bionic 6, who was the motorcycle specialist from Dr. Scare's group. And whenever he would talk, he would talk with a rum, 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 rum kind of motif to his.
And that's what they would do. Yep.
And I figured that's what Dragstore would do, but probably with more of a robotic tone, because I figured this guy is going to sound like Mechanic and Disappearing Dragons, like a really robotic, evil voice, and always probably has like a vroom vroom kind of sound effect when he talks. You know, like he can't.
Is that your choice then? Would he have been your choice?
No, that was not my choice. No.
Oh, so you going with Mosquito? Okay, well, obviously.
Mosquito was going to be my choice because, you know, you could easily set up this butting of heads between Leech and Mosquito, being that Leech has been with Hordak for a while, and here he creates this brand new insectoid cyborg, you know, character that kind of does the same thing, but probably to a certain extent does it more efficiently than Leech. So you got a conflict of interest with Leech feeling, you know, betrayed and bothered that Hordak went and created something that does what he does, but even better. Then you got a butting of heads between two Horde members, and possibly even Leech throwing the scent so the Rebellion and She-Ra can kick the Horde's ass in this particular episode and stop Mosquito, or simply because he feels a bit bothered that Hordak has tried to, you know, create something that, you know, kind of cancels out Leech's powers. Or just that fun idea of two of Hordak's, you know, henchmen just constantly fighting with each other. You know, who could one up? You know, who can take out, you know, more of the round. I mean, there's a lot of fun to be had with that very idea you played off, which I had not thought of prior to you saying that.
Okay.
So, but just the simple idea, I think he would look really, really awesome in Filmation. You know, walking around and draining various people. You know, I think it would be cool if he did fly, much like in Star Comics. You know,
that's why I brought it up. I wish he
just has like these rocket boosters in his boots, and he grabs a hold of people, takes them up in the air, drains them of their energy, and then just drops them. You know, and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, that would be a lot of fun to be had with. And Dragstore is an excellent choice too. I mean, you know, one is no better than the other. There's a lot of fun to be had with both of those characters. So,
they both would have been great in the cartoon.
Yeah.
And especially, like you said, if there would have been additions and if there would have been no restrictions of too much, you know, corniness or goofiness, if they could have been a little
if it was, and there's a lot of She-Ra episodes that do have a lot of good, you know, more of a serious tone.
Oh, sure.
Stories. Not all of them, you know, are light and fluffy and more targeted towards girls. There's a lot of them that you can watch and you feel like this is a great action adventure story. And
and it's not the fault of the cartoon. It's just like you said. It's at the times of when it was past when, you know, they said the cartoons were evil and they had to make them a little more lighthearted. So no, it's not the fault of She-Ra itself and cartoon. It's just, hey, it happened to the second season of Masters of the Universe. Also, they got the same treatment.
Started out relatively serious, and then it just, you know, takes a big torpedo dive down into, you know, cotton candy.
Right. Yeah, so it's just, it's not the fault of She-Ra's cartoon itself. But Mosquito, or if they could have gave him some additional, like I said, wings, it would have been cool to see a blood effect, you know, when he first did that the first time, you know, and you could have seen it like pulsating in his chest. I think
you can almost see it as like an energy buildup. Like once he gets his chest completely filled up with what looks like blood, he is at full strength.
Yeah.
Instead of making it obvious that it's blood, you could kind of maybe tone down that effect just for filmation purposes.
And just have a red meter going up.
Like constantly raising up with what looks to be more blood.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
hey,
I don't know. It's just kind of spitballing stuff. That
Maybe
way,
that could even be a cool little feature. What if, like you said, we're talking about the wings. What if once he does fill up all the way and gets his superpower max capacity, the wings would sprout out these crazy electronic wings that gave him extra strength and abilities to fly and do something? If he could like fill this thing up, that would be weird. Then once it drains, maybe that part of his body, because remember he's created by Hordak, so maybe there's just certain features that can only be activated when he's fully charged. Like a lot of Hordak's gadgets, when they're charged fully, they work different, and of course, when they're not, then they're not at full power. That could have been a
I
different
don't like that
element.
idea at all, Joe.
Well,
I don't
thank
like
you
the
very
way
much.
I said it.
He's like, I don't like it. I like it. That's how it usually is. No,
I'm
but
just letting Joe keep going and going and going and going and going. Just like, nah.
he's like, nah, and then messing. I like it. All right, cool. All right. Well, now, well, if we're gonna talk about some of the variants real quick of which ones, if I would have liked to seen out of the three, and the thing is, I told Tyler the reason I didn't pick pick King Hits as the evil warrior, even though he's a snake man, I just thought, oh god, if I bring this and that brings in all the elements of all the snake men, and then maybe if he was able to get the snake men from
I don't know.
Hordak to
Your
come with him,
logic to like canceling,
yeah.
like not doing the snake man did not make any sense to me when you told me this. I'm like,
I
what?
just thought it would have just, well, like I said, because then what if I said, okay, what favorite Snake Man would you want? Of course, everybody, which
Squeeze.
but then the thing is, it's like you
Because
want
they
the
probably
leader.
would have shown up as a hordeman anyway.
I know, but that's what I mean. I felt like I wanted King Hiss because then he could have all the Snake Men with him, and you
All
got the
right,
new faction.
I'm disobeying your rules here. For all the Snake Man fan, my pick is Squeeze. It's always going to be Squeeze, even over King Hiss, because Squeeze is my favorite Snake Man.
And my favorite Snake Man is Snake Face. That's the one I love the most. But I feel like, dang it, if you have them, you have to have their leader. So he has to be there, and
If
then
we
he has
have
to bring.
Tongue Lasher and Rattler in the She-Ra cartoon, why do we have to? I mean, in a
Once you get
perfect
King
world,
Hiss,
we
you
would
bring.
have King Hiss, and they would not be a member of the Horde. Period. However, if we're going by the guidelines of what was in the cartoon, to bring in Squeeze with a Horde emblem on his chest as opposed to the green snake, who am I to argue?
Shoot, especially within the comics and mini comics, we've had him on different members of the team and everywhere too.
Well, yeah,
So
he
I
worked
mean,
for
you're right.
Horde in the Star Comics when Mosquito shows up.
There you go. That's what I mean. So you're right. You pretty much could have wrote him in there. So there you go. So that's another quick bonus. But as for the variants, with He-Man with his battle armor, Thunder Punch, Flying Fist, I'll admit in the cartoon, I wouldn't have flipped over seeing him battle armor He-Man. Like if you got hit and it changes, yippee, I don't care. Flying Fist with just kind of the quick little motion, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have cared. But to see a Thunder Punch, to see him maybe when he did it for the first time, and how remember it's supposed to be you punch here, but you feel it over there. And what if you heard that sound? I mean, I think Thunder Punch He-Man would have been the coolest of all the variants to be in the cartoon. So that's my choice for the He-Man variants. Thunder Punch He-Man.
Well, my choice is Battle Armor He-Man.
Oh, that stinks. That stinks. That's boring. Dude, look at the different
First, you
animation.
see He-Man punch all the time in the cartoon. Second of all, the battle armor looks so damn cool anyway.
Yeah,
Just
it'd be
looking
cool.
at that armor, I mean, even if the whole punch, I mean, as if anybody was going to get close enough to actually punch He-Man in the chest. But to see, to see him and Skeletor maybe duking out in a, power against power, much like Evil Lynn's plot, where they both have gotten a hold of the exact same armor, whereas he punch He-Man, no, just a dent, and we're playing the same thing with He-Man punching Skeletor, just a dent, kind of thing. But I just
whoever reaches 2 dents first loses. Yeah, whoever gets 2 dents first loses. Oh, the battle armor may be terrible. I hate the battle armor.
All right, Joe, just stop everything. No,
it's terrible. The battle
armor.
No
2 punches here, trying to be specifically just like the toy here.
It's terrible.
It just looks cool. I always thought the battle armor would look so cool in Filmation.
So. I think the Thunder Punch armor and his outfit.
But I like Thunder Punch and Flying Fist. I think all three of them would look good, regardless of what JoJo says here.
Picture Skeletor. Hold on a second. You got Skeletor across one side or something like, all right, He-Man, now what are you gonna do? All the way over there. And that's when He-Man will punch Skeletor from 2 blocks away. Bam! He hits him like that. That's a cooler effect. Let's see who can do the best with our battle armor damage. So forget the battle armor. Okay, all right. Now you go with Skeletor. Which Skeletor? Are you going to pick battle armor Skeletor for you?
Yes, I am. I'm picking battle armor Skeletor.
Gosh. Okay, and probably from the same premise of He-Man. So there. Okay, that's
it's simply because it just looks awesome. I like the look of the. Now, my favorite variants, though, I think my favorite variant of He-Man is Flying Fist, like toy-wise. but in the cartoon, I would want to see battle armor of both of them.
You know, the Flying Fist, I mean, that was a fun toy in the battle armor. I remember when I first
Well, it
seen it,
just
really
I'm,
cool.
I'm talking essentially it's from a visual standpoint. The chrome with the chrome chest piece with the red emblem and the flying fist and the spinning shield and the different color scheme of like the brown and white boots, and it just looks really. I mean, of course, there's not a single variant in the He-Man toy line, the vintage toy line, that does not look good.
Oh,
All of
all
them.
the toys. I mean, no, they were all great. I mean, like I
Yeah,
said, I
they
love
all.
the gimmick, every
But
one of
there's
them.
something very very specific about the battle armor for both Skeletor and He-Man that I just find it just. I think as a kid, I had an affinity for, but I had Battle Armor Skeletor, but I didn't have He-Man, and I really wanted Battle Armor He-Man, and I never saw Thunder Punch. I had PJs of Thunder Punch, but I didn't have the figure, and I saw Flying Fist on the back of some of the mini comics, and I didn't think it was very cool because he didn't come with a power sword. So I'm like, I don't want that. He didn't come with the power sword. I'm going to appreciate it as an adult, but there's something very specific and visually striking about the battle armor on Skeletor and He-Man. I mean, you go to look at a lot of the box art and promotional stuff with He-Man wearing the battle armor. It's very striking to me. It
No,
just
no,
looks.
no. It is cool. I mean, as for the toy, I mean, I remembered out of all the variants of He-Man. I mean, I did love Thunder Punch Death because I love loading up the cap. I love that explosion sound, that pop, and then the smell of that kind of like sulfurous smell. But
And the yellow power sword looked cool, and the different shaped shield with
that
the
chrome
chrome
shield,
back
yeah.
metal shield. It looks awesome. I mean, that's
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're all great variants. But as for now, we'll go to Skeletor. You picked the battle armor, but I thought it would have been cool to have the Dragon Blaster. I know a lot of people thought I was going to say Terror Claws because of my affinity of horror and Freddy Krueger, maybe, but no. I think to have Dragon Blaster, especially if that dragon could have been, since it's a pet on a chain, could have, even have been something that came off separate to where maybe it could have went out and attacked and sprayed and then paralyzed some of the enemies, got back on Skeletor. Not only could it be with them, but it could have been used as its own little side little creature to do attacking and do bidding for Skeletor. So I think that would have been a really cool thing to see in the cartoon, would have been him with his dragon.
I could have seen him as like kind of treating that dragon as like Hordak does with Imp, like always like always encouraging this little dragon or praising him, and just kind of like his little buddy on his shoulder, much like how he treats Panther, he would treat this dragon, as an equivalent to Panther, someone a
Mm-hmm.
very loyal beast to Skeletor that will, stick by his side and always attack anything that could be threatening to Skeletor. So that would look awesome as well in
Yeah.
Filmation, and I can see
All right.
Filmation having a lot of fun with that little dragon.
Oh, and they could. It's a shame again we didn't get him, but now we'll just go to the Hordaks. Which Hordak would you have chose?
Hurricane.
Hurricane, just because of
Yeah.
like the different attachments and the
The
gold kind of look, or what?
in the cartoon, I mean, that was one of his gimmicks. It was, I mean, he even had an attachment that turned into a buzz saw in Talent for
Mhm.
Trouble. So,
He had a lot. Yeah.
it's more or less. I guess if I I mean, I think Hordak's they're both fine. They're not bad at all. But I feel like his are probably the weakest of the lead variants because I mean, well, I'll take that back. Hurricane, because that's about as close as we got to what he does in the cartoon with the various arm attachments.
And having
So,
the cannon kind of arm too,
whereas
yeah.
Buzzsaw is just it's a hidden accessory inside his chest. There's not a whole like, you know, oddly enough, I hate variants with a passion today. But back then, I looked at it and like, there's not a whole lot to it other than it's just your standard regular Hordak with a chest plate that pops open and the blade comes flying out, which it's still a cool accessory. I think from a visual standpoint, I'm picking Hurricane and the vac metal, the different
Oh yeah.
attachments. It gives it a good feel. But I'm not knocking Buzzsaw because I completely understand why people like Buzzsaw Hordak though.
Hmm.
So
No, because I mean, now, like you said, Hurricane Hordak. You're right. He has the attachments. He has the gun cannon, just like the cartoon, so he felt close to that. But he does have that really nice back metal gold armor. How they would have got that effect in the cartoon could have been different. It's still, would have looked slick if they could have pulled it off. I guess with me with the buzzsaw thing, as for the variants when I played as a toy, don't get me wrong, I love doing the spinning feature with Hurricane. But I remember when I first got Buzzsaw Hordak, I thought it was so cool because, like, you could put him next to the other Hordak and he looked kind of similar. You knew the difference because there was a different way the bat is and the belt and everything. But I remember the first time I popped that cape in the back and that chest opens up and then you pull down further and that Buzzsaw, It was just so cool. Again, it was something that I would use where I always flicked and would knock down warriors. As how that would be used in the cartoon, they can maybe try something like buzzsaws or a way it could come back to them. You
Yeah,
know, you're right. There's not many
I like a boom
dazzling
kind of
things.
motif.
Boomerang buzzsaw,
Had I had it as
buzzerang.
a kid, because I love the robotic drone that popped out of the T Rex's stomach.
Love that.
Loved
Love
playing with
that.
that as a kid. So had I been exposed to Buzzsaw Hordak as a little guy, I probably would have really taken to Buzzsaw Hordak a lot because I like that drone popping out and flying all over the place very much. So the Buzzsaw would have been something looking back at, I definitely would have been all about.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, when they're toys, they're great. When you think about how they transition to cartoon, it makes it a little bit different. And it is. It's unfortunate we never got any of those variants.
All right, I'm gonna add on to what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Which of the vehicles, which heroic vehicle and which evil warrior vehicle would you have liked to have seen made it into the cartoon that did not make it in the cartoon?
Okay, now this one, as for the evil ones, just because I loved how wicked it looked, I would have loved to have the Fright Fighter. I think you said you didn't have many of the vintage vehicles, so I know you might
No,
have different choices. But I think that just would have looked so wicked in the cartoon. That big flying bug looking, creature. Just I could picture the wings, flapping, multiple warriors inside that thing, shooting out missiles at the heroic warriors. For the evil, I would have to pick Fright Fighter, no doubt. That's the one I pick. That's my choice. What about you?
mine would be close to that one, but I gotta go with Night Stalker.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, because hey, we had
Strider's
Stridor.
my favorite vehicle slash steed, period. But Night Stalker is right there because he comes with Jitsu and they're buddies. Jitsu and Night Stalker are buddies. But just from a visual standpoint, Night Stalker is a stunning looking evil war horse. So
No, yeah,
Night Stalker would be my choice.
all
I love
right.
to see Skeletor running around. If not Jitsu, see Skeletor, riding around in Stridor on the cartoon.
Well, heck, if anything could have brought possibly Jitsu back into the cartoon, it could have been Night Stalker. Maybe there could have been a way they could.
So awesome to see Jitsu Filmation style running around in a and I'm sure Filmation probably would have just getting tongue tied here. Literally recolored the Stridor stock animation or the animation of Stridor that was in the Origin of the Sorceress episode. Which hell, I'd have been all about that because that's essentially what Night Stalker is anyway. So
Yeah,
that would have looked so good. James E. Talk, make that happen.
yeah,
Let's
make
let's
that
see,
happen
let's
too.
see Night Stalker animated in Filmation style with the Strider. That's yeah. Make
We
that
got
along
a,
with Scareglow. Put them both in the same episode.
yeah, we got a lot that needs
Have
to happen.
Scareglow riding around a Night Stalker in your Scareglow episode. That's
Yeah,
what we
that
do.
would be weird, but
Featuring Lizard Man is the guy who saves the day.
oh gosh, you had to throw him in there. All right.
Yes, I did.
Well, it's now the heroic vehicles. Man, you're putting me on the spot because I mean there was
We did not plan this. This all came up at the spur of the moment here.
God, there's multiple ones. I mean I have three in my head. I know that I just loved playing with, but it,
You know what? I'm going to break Joe's.
take,
Give me two. Give me two.
you want to? Okay. Well, then I
Two.
have to say Blaster Hawk. Blaster Hawk, just because I think it would be a great yin yang for the Fright Fighter. Because I mean, I played with that. I love seeing some crazy discs coming out. So it'd be cool to see Blaster Hawk not only flying in action, but like he could be even like maybe on top of, let's say, hypothetically, the Palace of Eternia on that little thing to where maybe he could like rotate and he could be just there as like a sentry vehicle that could shoot at enemies coming. Or if it need be, he engages from that attachment and flies out. So he has multiple uses. So Blaster Hawk, those are it's a 2-for-1 in that. But the other one, I'd say just Bashosaurus because I would love to see just that big hammer fist smashing like a bunch of like let's say Skeletor's robot knights or robot warriors or whatever you want to call them, hoverbots. I know there's many names, but having those things flying and he's smashing, knocking holes, getting things out of. I just think Bashosaurus would have looked pretty cool. I didn't pick any of the pre-Eternia things or some of the other things like Beam Blast Artillery or any even the ones that the attachments they had only in the European releases, but like Cliff Climber and Scuba Attack. But no, I'd have to go with Bashosaurus and Blaster Hawk. Those are my two choices.
Well, being is that they've dabbled in bringing back prehistoric creatures before on He-Man, particularly creatures from the Tar Swamp. I would love to have seen Bionatop show up.
Yeah. Okay.
That would have been
With a techno virus. Ugh. Ugh.
that thing I can go to hell.
Right.
God, I swear. I hope to God I do not run into anybody who is completely oblivious to, I mean, anything to do with the original line, and they picked up those god awful mini comics that we were duped into buying, or duped into thinking that storyline was going to be completed, just to find out that this BS technovirus was killing off the dinosaurs and would somehow infect Hero and cause him to die too. And you get somehow in the mini comic, he takes a bullet for King Grayskull and dies. So no, there would be no god awful technovirus. God, I hate that stuff. No. So my other choice, not to be completely dinosaur related, would be Bashosaurus.
Yeah.
Not dinosaur related. We got like a Triceratops like type.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But yeah, I think the Bashosaurus would have looked really cool to see Battle Armor He-Man running around with, destroying, a massive wall that Skeletor has put up to keep, the heroic warriors out from invading a particular village he's captured or something like that. Man at Arms has come up with the Bashosaurus to get through any kind of, barrier on eternity or something like that. So that I think that would have been pretty cool.
That would have.
And all the, I mean, pretty much anything that was done in the toy line is all should have all been shown. I mean, from all the scuba attack, the cliff, all that stuff. So anything we did not pick doesn't mean that it wouldn't be worth seeing, because I have a soft spot for those accessories that were released in Europe anyway, because they look so awesome. So
right.
All that the Blaster Hawk would have looked fantastic. The Beam Blaster and Artillery. That could have been a whole episode based on the Beam Blaster and Artillery.
Right.
I mean, you could just see Man at Arms coming up with a solution to stop the Beam Blaster that King Hiss and Skeletor have come up with in the depths of Snake Mountain. We've got to come up with some sort of accessory. We need a carrion water crystal to harness the power of the Beam Blaster. Oh no, excuse me, I got that confused. The Artillery, created by King Hiss and Skeletor. We need a carrion water crystal to harness the power of the Beam Blaster here, which ties in Brave Star.
There you go. You did it last time. Did it again. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is all shooting related here.
Yep. So again, all good choices. I was going to say real quick, I just want to say hi to Tom Charlton in the live chat room. He also, earlier on, he said he jumped in to say Battle Armor He-Man was the bomb. He said
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he said I had to come in and comment that. He said it was the coolest. So yeah, we have him, Eric Heyman. So yeah, we have, like I said, some other people that joined in. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody that was in there. And of course, Paul Rudman said they should have had a Battle Armor Hordak variant back for the vintage line.
Yeah, cool. I'd like to. That'd have been interesting to see something along those lines. What would it have been black and gold?
Yeah, and this is not a plug. You know me and my plugs. I really mean it's not a plug, but believe it or not, I'm actually working on a vintage Battle Armor Hordak for a customer, a vintage one. That is bizarre that he said that. Shut up. That's not a plug for Joe and Joe Model Custom Creations on Facebook. That sure is not, because I've never done that ever on the show.
It's a shame we can't have like this nice kind of like going across the screen, go to Joe Amato's VIP MOC Facebook page here for the latest customs. And if you want this, contact the webmaster at this page and this and that. And, it almost like, like a toll-free number at the bottom of the screen there,
That's terrible, little product placement. Or even like a little digital
that flashes up in the corner. For Joe's kids, kind of like Jerry's kids, and Jerry Lewis, who passed away just this past week here. But like I said, like a telethon, Joe's like, offering all the customs you can stand for donating money to Joe's kids.
There. So
some sort of telethon.
Yeah, so that's a cheap one. I had to do that. Sorry, I had to do a cheap pop.
No, I look forward to saying that. Now that we know that you're doing that, so
it's my version of a Mick Foley cheap pop right here on Fans of Power. I had to do that. So
we're all about being cheap on this podcast.
There you go. I'm the cheapest. So not speaking of cheap stuff, but speaking of good stuff. Now we're going to talk about a comic that it's one of the Star Marvel ones. It's the Hate Stones. But, reading this comic, it felt, not saying that I didn't like all the other ones. I mean, I loved all these comics, Star Marvel ones. You could say there's corny moments. Sure there is. There's corny stuff and everything. But in this one in particular, I felt like I was actually watching a Filmation episode transitioned into a comic, but with a little bit of an edge. Because when we start describing some of them, we're not going to do it all because you guys, like I said, if you don't have this, believe me, you have to get the Hate Stones. You have to get this. It's issue 8 of it's issue 9. I'm sorry, issue 9 of the Star Marvel comics. This is a really good story. I mean, there's like I said, some different characters that pop up in here, characters we've seen before with a different look. But I'll let you start off, Tyler, with your thoughts on the Hate Stones.
I got that from a friend of mine who went to my church, Chris Dalton. He had a couple of the Star comics, and I think I traded him for something. I think, and that was one of them he gave me, and I think that was the first time. I think because I remember I told the story before. I got the issue number 2 at Food Line, but I think I may have come across the Star comics when Chris traded me some stuff. I think it's somewhere in there. But anyway, I had that as a kid, and I thought it was a really cool comic book. I mean, aside from a lot of Filmation like references, like the Royal Palace looks just like Filmation.
Even the dialogue, though, even the dialogue between the characters of what they would call each other, like with little nicknames, like little buddy, or what
Yeah,
I mean. There's certain just names they called each other. It just felt so Filmation like.
yeah, it was. It clearly showed they were trying to really use Filmation, which was great to see. I mean, as kids, when you see the Filmation stuff popping up in the mini comics and the Golden Books, it was awesome. You felt, oh right, yeah, it looks just like King Randor, it looks just like the Royal Palace, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really crazy and awesome to see Driel and Uncle Montork show up.
Question about those two, because it was great to see them. Now, did you read this comic before seeing them in Filmation, or did you see them in Filmation first
Oh no,
before reading
I
the
saw
comic?
them in Filmation.
Okay, then you already know what I'm getting at with the quite different look of Uncle Montork and Driel in this comic.
Yeah,
But
well, Driel's was the least. It felt like, what, if it's not gonna be spot on, I know where they're going with it. Whereas Montork's looked like he was hanging out with Speedy Gonzalez.
he had a
He's
sombrero.
wearing
It looked
a
like
sombrero, clearly
yeah,
a sombrero. He's even got the string hanging down, and he's got
yes.
the bandana around his neck and everything. And but it wasn't something that I felt like, what the hell is this? It was just like, you told me it was Uncle Montork. Okay, this
But
is
it's
awesome.
weird. You're right. I mean, I remember when I first seen him, I was like, Uncle Montork. I was like, where's his
Well,
glasses?
he
What
looked
is this?
awfully angry too. I'm like, wow, man, he looks,
It
quite,
was just so different. Like I said, I mean, his sombrero had a different colored, outfit from the part you seen because you didn't see all of them, but you didn't see glasses. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think he had glasses, so he was
no.
very odd. So he struck me as okay, but then I was like, okay, well, I guess a variant, if you will. Driel, even though she was different, I was like, okay, it's still Drea. I feel it because she was different because now she has boobs. She has, I guess, a typical.
Joe goes for not the Southern Belle
She had a
hat. It was
southern,
like
yeah,
she had big uns, as Al Bundy would say.
and big ends, little ends, in between
Which is
ends.
probably why Orko was quite stunned when he saw her. He's like, he doesn't know what to say. He's like,
He's like,
dear
oh,
God,
hey,
what I
no,
need
but
right now is a slice of pizza in one hand and one of them greasy Hooters in the other.
there you go. I mean, it was a very children moment. But no, I mean, no doubt that is the first thing that really was. I know she had that Southern Belle hat. She came with a stereotypical purse. I was like, purse? Really? You gave her a purse? But the boobs were very noticeable. But yes, you could really understand. Okay, I get it. It's Driel.
Yeah.
She still had basically the same colored outfit. So I'll let you keep flowing with that. Like I said, we won't do every part of it because we don't want to root for people who maybe haven't read this yet, but we'll just touch a couple of parts here and there.
Yeah, I mean that was all cool, and the horde showing up, and it was I mean the horde I thought looked quite well visually. You have the new character Lieutenant Andra.
I'd say Andra. I would say Andra. I'd
Andra.
say Lieutenant Andra. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a kid I thought, who is this character? Like, is this part of the mythology? And which I thought she was a fine character. I found her to be, she kind of was like doing what Tila does, so to speak, except she wasn't being a sandy vagina, so to speak. She was
No,
just
she was,
getting her job done. You could almost feel like Tila would get a sandy vagina because this girl's just come in getting a Medal of Honor for her work in the Icelands,
it
something
was
like
the
that.
Iceland. I think it was the Icelands. Yes.
Yeah, the
I mean,
Iceland. And,
she's a strong character. She's strong,
yes, it's a strong
confident, and
female
able.
character who uses a blaster, and you know what?
Yeah.
It's
She'd make
it's
a great figure. She would make a great figure.
that's what I thought too, and I would be absolutely behind Super 7 doing a figure of her. we've gotten a lot of female characters, particularly from the She-Ra series, which even with the Four Horsemen's touch, you can only make Perfuma look, you know, can't really make her look like a badass. But
No,
Lieutenant, not no offense to She-Ra fans on
no,
that,
I know what you mean. I mean, it's just that's
but
how it
Lieutenant
is.
Andra, I mean, I would love to put her on the shelf with the rest of the heroic warriors because she looks like I mean, she is from visually, she looks like a woman, a strong woman from that era. She doesn't have a very striking design by any means, but she looks like a cool, tough woman with a cool name. And to have another female who works for the royal palace as a lieutenant in the royal guard, it's branching out and showing that what, not just Tila, it's not just one girl. Here's another one, and she's getting honored for her valor and duties, in battle. So it's a
And
great
Tila, as you
addition.
know, yeah, they kind of like show that Tila and her knew each other early on, and it's not like they butted heads. That's why I didn't like. I mean, you'll see like an issue of a one time Tila telling her to stay back while Tila wants to do something. But of
Yeah.
course, Lieutenant Andrew comes to save Tila, and Tila still says, "Okay, you might be written up for that, or I'll report you about that." But it didn't seem like they were butting heads. There wasn't like egos between them two, which I liked.
Now,
I
if
didn't.
this was in Filmation, these two girls will be butting heads until the very end when they wrap things up and realize they have to work together to get the job done. That they can't think that I'm better than she is because Taylor could do this better than me, but Andra can do this better than I can, and then become the best of friends at the end of the story. And Adam doesn't see any action from either one of them because they're going to go have a girls' night or something like that.
Yeah.
So leaves Adam pitching a tent like, man, God, I'm not going to get either one of these girls at the end of this episode here.
But yeah, but what you've seen in this, like I said, in this episode, I mean, how it starts, Andra, she's being honored for her work. Becomes lieutenant. Through all this, there's somebody that's watching the palace. Obviously, yes, it's going to end up being Hordak, and he uses his war. What was it called? The war machine? No, Jesus,
It's called the War Sled or the War
God, I'm a moron. I can't believe
Jet War.
it's a
It's
war.
such a simple name, but it works. Like
Well, he uses this machine to attack the palace. Within that happening, the walls start crumbling down. As they're crumbling down, Driel, I think, actually saved Orko and pushed him out of the way.
Yeah,
She gets smashed under a rock. As she's smashed under this rock, she starts disappearing. And Orko is under the impression that she's just died. She faded away and disappeared. And Orko snaps. I mean, Orko snaps. He's like, he wants to get Hordak. I mean, he's in a different state of mind that you normally wouldn't see. As he gets out of the palace, you see as he's wanting and hating to get Hordak. If I'm not mistaken, this is how I took it, and I bet you I'm wrong. I'm sure I'm wrong. But how I looked at that as a kid, it looks like they then showed Central Tower from the Three Towers. And it's like maybe there's some weird force that is wanting to grant Orko something that could help him destroy Hordak. And that's this amulet. It's one of the hate stones that'll grant him power to actually become the most powerful being on Eternia. And it, of course, corrupts Orko's mind. And all Orko is thinking about is destroying and killing Hordak. I don't think they use the word killing or death in this, but
yeah.
you basically understand what he
Well,
wants
it's
to
like on the
do.
cover. Like if you destroy Hordak, you destroy yourself. So it's implying, yes, it's in a matter of speaking, killing Hordak.
Yeah, so he's off to the races to go find Hordak and kill him. And of course, that's when Tila's going to go out and seek, and I think her and Andrew go out to then find maybe where Orko's at, while of course He-Man and Man at Arms say they're going to find somebody that maybe will help them. And that's the sorceress who tells them the story and the legend about the hate stones. And that there's kind of some options here. The options are you could let Orko kill Hordak. And if he kills Hordak, he's getting rid of the biggest threat right now on Eternia, because this wasn't even. I mean, not that Skeletor doesn't exist in this universe, but he wasn't mentioned in this issue, if you will. But they're just saying basically the threat of Hordak.
But
So you
it
could let
eliminates one of the three biggest threats on Eternia right now, and two is better than three. So
exactly. So it's like, all right, you could actually let him kill Hordak, or you could save Orko from doing that. Save him, get rid of those hate stones, and of course, obviously Hordak's going to be spared. He ain't going to be killed. So of course He-Man has to, of course He-Man makes the right choice. He ain't going to let Orko kill Hordak. So that's when you're getting some of the Filmation morals, but just the tone of this felt a lot more serious. Maybe it's because when I'm not hearing the slapstick music or something, I don't know, but how it's drawn a little more serious. So, you felt like you're really seeing Orko like you've never seen him before, and you were almost under the impression that he was really going to hurt him. Does he get him? Does he ever shoot him in this? I won't say. I don't know, but go ahead. Some more thoughts from you, Tyler.
Oh no, I mean I could see this being done as a Filmation episode too. Where I mean we've seen uh, moments of I'm trying to think right off the top of my head. Maybe not necessarily with Orko, but or just like you think of the Search episode where He-Man, gets a hold of the Star Seed and the evil starts tempting him. I think to do that with Orko and Filmation would make a very. I mean, you see Larry DiTillio writing a fantastic episode about that very thing. We're dealing with Trollins here after all, and or Robbie London. Yeah, yeah, I take that back. Robbie London because he did some of the Trollin based episode. Well, not just him. Never mind. Anyway, it could
I
be
like
written
when you
by a lot of the Douglas Booth, Larry DiTillio, Robbie London, Paul Dini, so on and so forth. Anyway, that could be made into a very good episode with Uncle Montork and Driel. It's a season 2 episode, or maybe season 3, to where we would actually see the Horde, crossover to even though a full season 3, not the technical season 3 that was broken up into a third season for He-Man episodes. Or it could be done in the She-Ra cartoon. Where because Uncle Montork and Driel do show up in the She-Ra
Yeah, sure, a
cartoon.
lot of back and forth. I just wish it could have had the feel of season 1 Masters of the
Yeah,
Universe,
but
but
that's what I was going for. Is that if they went to go visit on Etheria, and of course Hordak attacks the village that they're visiting at and causes all this destruction. Montork and Orko, they're fighting and trying to stop. Driel gets caught in an avalanche, and they think she's dead. I can see Orko being completely traumatized and just brokenhearted and tempted by this object out in far deep in the Whispering Woods, on the outskirts of it, something the Horde is not even aware of, gets a hold of it and it is consumed with going to the Fright Zone and goes there and single-handedly destroys Destructo tanks. Smacks around Grizzlord, Leech, and Montana. Is
yes.
going all the way to the throne room, and She-Ra's got to go in there and get Montork. It's like you can't do it. Much like there, I know what I was thinking. Jeez, I can't believe I forgot this. The Return of Orko's Uncle, where Orko is brainwashed by Azrog to kill Montork. We'd see something similar to that,
Yeah,
like
when he rises up with those
going
evil eyes.
and destroying the whole place, like he's batting away Shadow Weaver, and just making Hordak's throne just crumble at his feet, and just
Wasn't that when he rose up, like, with that broken wall and they showed him in the shadows and his eyes
yeah,
were kind of demonic?
his eyes are lit up and he's like this, and Azrog just yeah,
You know
I can't
what's
wait to
funny?
do it.
It's funny you say that because this has a moment where you look psychotic too. See, here's another thing that happens in this. There's other cool moments, like when I was speaking of Leech earlier in Draining Powers. There's a part in this where Man at Arms uses this kind of like, bomb that's like a bomb that puts up a force field. It's like a
Yeah.
force shield bomb.
Oh,
And he was
that looked so weird to me as a kid because I wasn't really reading the story that well. And I kept thinking, what the hell's wrong with this picture? Why are all these lines in front of the Horde right here?
Yeah, until you hear Hordak, he tells Grizzlord, drain that shield's power. So it's cool to see that beyond, he tells Leech that beyond Leech, touching people and draining them of their powers, he can sit there and drain the power of that force field to take it down. So I like that. I like that. There's a part where, Mantena, I can't remember who he just blasted. He blasted somebody. I think it might have been, maybe it was Lieutenant Andrew towards the beginning, blasted her in the back when he was going to take her on the ship. So you see, again, Mantena's always accomplishing something. But what I liked was it was towards the end of this issue, and you guys, even me saying it, when you read it, it's still so cool. It's where Hordak is telling basically like Leech, Montana, you say Grizzlord, go take care of Orko, so Hordak can do whatever he has to do. But you see Orko blast open like a part of that ship, and he's in an opening, almost like in that episode, like said with Azrog. Mantena's there, and I think Oracle basically is like, where's Hordak, or I'm gonna take care of you. However he says it, and Mantena's like basically in a way saying, make a left, go down that hall, go up them stairs, you'll find him, and he's gone. I loved it. That
and I can
felt
see
like
Filmation Montana doing that very thing.
yes, exactly. Now that
To get the
felt
hell out of
funny.
Dodge.
It felt funny Filmation, but also worked in. Oh my God, my power's going on my thing. Wait a second.
What?
Wait, It's fading. I have the power hooked up, but it's going off. I'm gonna have to switch over to something for the last couple
Your
minutes.
audio's still going. You just don't have a visual.
Okay, well, hey, if I'm still there, good. I don't know
Yeah, you're
why I'm.
still here. You're not. You haven't gone anywhere, and your audio still sounds fine. Okay, I guess Joe's audio is actually gone right now. So, well, well, I'll deal with this dead air here at the moment here. Uh, kind of trying to figure out how to finish out this because he was just making some good point. But it's a solid star comic. I mean, really from beginning to end, it's one of the better ones. I mean, there's not a whole lot of really bad ones. I mean, they do take some liberties with character alliances and stuff like that, but they're still fun comics. This is definitely one of the better ones. Joe?
I'm. Hold on.
Okay, we
Can you
have
see me?
visual and audio. Yes.
Okay, I'm back in whatever some
I
crazy
was
form.
drowning in the
I
dead
had
air.
my
I was
thing
trying to
all
come up with
hooked up. It
something
had
like
all its power. I don't know why that drained, but hey, you lost me for a couple seconds. But at least I'm back for the end of the show. So
I feel
go
like
ahead, Tom.
Garth for when Wayne leaves the set and leaves Garth like live on TV.
You're like, hey, so hey, how
And
about
people like this, like, do you ever see that movie Scanners? You know, when that guy's head blows up and I'm like, boom.
oh, okay, well, I'm back. Sorry about that, everybody, that I popped and disappeared. So go ahead. What were you saying, Tyler, before
All I'm
this?
saying was that it's a solid star comic. It's one of the better of the series, even though there aren't really any offensive ones. Even though you know some liberties are taken with who's on what side and stuff like that. But overall, the Star comics themselves, as we said before, they're fun comic books featuring characters that were available in toy stores at the time. And this is one of the better ones.
It
It's
was.
not doesn't really come off as a big commercial comic book. This is more about a story because you got a new female character, heroic character at that, using Filmation characters that were not available to buy in stores,
Right.
and the basic group of the evil horde.
Yeah, you're right. They weren't shoving the vehicles down your throat. It wasn't like the newest character coming out. This really felt like it could have made a fantastic Filmation episode,
Yeah.
whether with serious tones or even, of course, if they sillied it up. But this would have been perfect. That's why I said this is one of the better ones. You guys have to get, issue 9 of this, the Hate Stones. This is a really good one.
It's not one of the harder ones to find, too, unlike the last two issues of the series and the movie adaptation. But most of the series, well, I think issue 8, I think it's issue 8 that's got Ninjor, Faker, and Clamp and Scareglow and Blastag. That one's a bit hard to find, but I don't think issue number 9 is one of the harder ones to find. I don't think if you're interested in purchasing a copy of it. And
Yeah.
you can read it online for free too if you want. But it's a solid comic book. If you don't have it and you like to collect everything or you're into the comic books and stuff, it's one to pick up for sure.
Oh, it's definitely worth a purchase. I mean, they all are, but this is really one of the better written stories, and the art isn't something that hurts your eyes.
No,
It's drawn really well. So, yeah, pick that up, and then hopefully someday we'll get these all in a volume 2 along with other stuff. Maybe we can get a book with these comics. Hopefully.
that and the unwritten comic book that James G. Talk I think has got. I don't know how much he's got of it, but he showed samples of it in Serial Geek where I think it's War and Peace was the name of it, and it's got He-Man fighting the Batmechs in his movie outfit, slicing one of them in half. I'm like, dear God, man, we got He-Man in his movie outfit fighting the whole. Where the hell's the rest of the story?
Yeah, especially with you, you know how much you love that. I mean, God, you have something with the movie version looking at.
We got a lot of demands for Mr. Etok on this episode here. He needs to get on it here.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like I said, get on, talk about that, talk about. Heck, I think that he's coloring the version. I don't know if he'll have versions available anywhere else for purchase, but what was the
the
tier?
Return from Terror Island mini comic. Yeah, all colors and everything is gonna be available.
That's great. I wonder who colored that up. I don't know who colored it up, but I'm sure they'll make it look just like they did for the vintage ones in the same style. I'm assuming.
I think the guy who drew that, I think also drew the Flying Fist mini comic. I think he also drew. I think because I believe it's the same artist who had done some of them. I think even Eye of the Storm, maybe even the Rio Blast, Fastest Straw in the Universe mini comic as well. I think.
What was before we close it up? What you were having some like kind of cool idea, maybe a thing we could do maybe every once in a while for an episode of, like, maybe trying to convince the other of why something is good or why is something bad, and maybe judging her. What were you thinking? You were spitballing something that could be cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's always fun. Me and Joe get into debates, and I thought about this idea for like something we would do every so often, which would be taking this, like, maybe doesn't necessarily have to be a controversial thought or idea about Master of the Universe / year or whatever, but where Joe would be the prosecutor and I would be the sleazy public defender, like John Larroquette on Night Court, or vice versa, where Joe can be the sleazy public defender and I'm the prosecutor. But the point is, we put a particular topic on trial and argue about why this is not as bad, and the other is pretty much saying, no, that deserves to be denounced. That's not a very, legitimate part of mythology, or I think it's poorly done or poorly visualized, or it has no business being part of Master of the Universe. Or you say, no, this is why it needs to be a part of it. So we're just kind of tossed around that because it's fun. We don't have them too often, but it would be fun if we decided to take a segment every so often and just have a great debate. And we're thinking for something like this too, we need like possibly like a third party,
maybe like a judge or something.
Yeah, like a judge, and so we were thinking about our old friend Danielle.
Yeah, Danielle, she could be judge. She could judge.
Because if we got her to come on and be the judge, we could call the segment "My Cousin Penny." And you know what? It could even be just like the movie My Cousin Vinny, where it gets nominated for an Oscar, and we could even have this segment adapted into a movie. We get Anne Hathaway to play the part of Penny, who is this conflicted judge with a sandy vagina, set against the background of LeBron James' decision of 2010. I'm ready to naked gun 33 and a third when I kind of come up with that little idea. But just for fun, it'd be cool to have her on to do like an acting judge on the show, like with you and me are sitting there, going at each other like two angry dogs or something like that over,
any of the topics of
why you think Ray Skull was not as bad. And of course, I'm ready to throw the book at you on something like that. And she's there to, honor, offer a verdict.
I see the people in the chat room probably being like all on Tyler's side.
That would be cool too. I would love to incorporate people in the chat room because they could be the jury.
Yeah, so I said the people in the chat room be like the jury, and I could probably see them usually always agree with Tyler. You should have that better way of speaking to the point. And I sound like the lunatic. I'm probably like the stuttering guy in My Cousin Vinny. Like,
ladies and gentlemen, Tipton.
It's like,
we can do so many My Cousin Vinny references, and we have to call the segment. If we got Daniel to do it, we'd have to call it My Cousin Penny. But that would be so much fun to get, to let people know if you're in the chat room, you are giving the verdict. Like what you guys decide is what goes. And then as they're all listening, they're like Ernest goes to jail, like chewing on a pen. You're like, really? I'm making this big decision here? And then they start, you know what happens. He ends up breaking the pen in his mouth and starts wiping his face with paper and chews on it and everything. I love Ernest Goes to Jail. It's a funny movie.
Well, and by the way, when I got zapped out of this and had to come to the computer, Paul Rudman said I got hit by the diamond ray of disappearance. So yeah, it happened, and I went away for a second, then I had to come back.
Yeah, he went to another dimension. I had to break the diamond ray, and then Joe pops right up.
There you go.
That's what happened.
Thanks, I appreciate it. So
yeah, I like that, Paul. That's cool.
All right,
but yeah, if people are interested in this, which we hope to get together, and of course we don't want to just throw in anything, just for the sake of doing it. But we definitely would like to get people's thoughts on that. If you have like something you would want us to debate in this, courtroom, attorney at law, then let us know. Don't just listen to it and think that sounds cool and then not send anything at all.
Like I always say, I mean, they're part of the show. I mean, they're fans.
Yeah, that's what we want people to do. We don't want people just to think it's a pleasant thought when we're talking on the podcast, saying we want people's involvement. Like, we're not just making this up. I love
when they say something.
We want people to send us a message on Facebook Messenger or email or whatever and say, I'd love for you guys to debate.
I try to involve, like I said, I as many of the messages I see, I may miss some here and there, but any of the questions, any of the comments. I always will try to, like I said, acknowledge, bring them into the show, like I said, because they are part of the show. We're all fans of Power. That's why I love it. I love when they're involved with the show.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And even if you're listening to this after we record it, we want you to come to the chat room as well. Or if you're listening and you're like, you know what, I got a subject I'd love to see debated, send it to us. This is something we have to have fan involvement with. I mean, me and Joe could probably come up with a few things to debate about, but it'd be more fun to get this going that we get fan participation, and that even if we get one topic to debate or 10, it would be nice to know that people want us to, because we want them to be a part of it as well. We could even come up with some sort of goofy court case description. On January 1984 or January 1985, Stinkor was left out of the Filmation cartoon, because of they thought he would be a fart joke. Well, in today's court case, we're going to find out whether or not Stinkor really should have been depicted in the Filmation series 2, episode or something like that. And Joe would sit there and say, by God, it's an atrocity. He should never have been in the cartoon. He should never have been. I don't think Joe would ever see it never be created. But it's almost like, typically, I would, if I was given the role of like the public defender or the defense attorney, excuse me, not public defender. I'm using that too much. Not public defender, defense attorney. Where I'm like, what? No, I could see why you have to legitimately try to convince why it probably wouldn't have been a good idea, even though in my own mind, yes, it would have been a perfect idea to have Stinkor in the cartoon. But hopefully it would be something along the lines that, something that, Joe feels strongly about it and I feel differently the other way. That would be the goal, because that we really could get a good debate going. And then Daniel would have to slam her gavel down. Shut the hell up,
Yep, a lot of different ideas, topics. Like I said, we can always involve you. Anything else you guys can think of, we can do. So, well, that pretty much wraps it up. So before we, close it off, Nuclear Man, is that who you are? Was that on your shirt or whatever?
Hey, I'm all ready to destroy Superman.
All right. Well, what do you have to close? What do you got to say?
Recommendation is kind of a throwback to the previous episode, is checking out the Brave Star series. If you are someone who is aware of Brave Star but never watched the cartoon, you remember the toys, or you remember the cartoon, or you don't know much about them, the episodes are, I think, for the most part, all available on YouTube. And if you're going to watch it, watch the Brave Star movie, which is about an hour and a half. It gives you the origins of Brave Star, the origin of Tex-Hex, and sets up the big battle over New Texas. Introduces Stampede, who Tex-Hex answers to, and pretty much sets up all the essential players like Tex-Hex's henchmen, Brave Star's buddies, and all that stuff too. So that's my recommendation, is giving the Brave Star series a chance, and see for yourself why we think that would be such a great crossover with He-Man.
Okay, all right, that's that'd be fantastic. Because like I said, that we were talking about it last week, and you can see it on YouTube, so definitely catch it on YouTube. And before I say my closing things, I was just going to say to Paul Rudman, he gave a debate topic, which is a good one that maybe we can do next week or whenever you want. He said, which Filmation series should the Snake Men have appeared in? He-Man or She-Ra? So we'll save that for next week or an upcoming episode. I like that topic. We'll definitely cover that, Paul, so thank you. And JSP, just want to say he has a Brave Star series, and he has the pilot movie on DVD. So awesome. Fantastic. Good man. So, all right, well, let me just say what I always say. Go to fansofpower.com, go to popculturenetwork.com, go to hemanworld.com, and on Facebook, go to Masters of the Universe, He-Man and She-Ra Ultimate Fan Group. All great places, all great people. So until next time, have a powerful day.
How do you feel? I'm nervous. It takes a lot to scare me. I love the sensation.
Damn, I don't want to be stumped. Damn it. And when I say he's going to be, you should have known that, Joe. Damn it.
You're not going to know this quote. I bet most people who are listening to this podcast are not going to know this quote.
Do you want to leave that? Hey, wait, don't even say the answer. Let's see if somebody can figure that out and send it in maybe on Facebook or somewhere where we promote it. See if they know the answer, because I don't know that one. Hold that one off.
Yeah, I will hold on. If someone can guess it, put it in a comment section on YouTube or on one of the Facebook posts we do, or send it to me in Messenger, and I'll promote the hell out of you for figuring out what that quote was. Because if you do, I'm like, I want to shake your hand because it's a kick-ass quote from a kick-ass actor playing a kick-ass villain in a kick-ass movie. So
I'd like to shake their hand too, because, like I said, there's no way in the world I know what that is, and if they know it, then more power to them, definitely.
absolutely. So we look forward to next week, and we got we'll be back here next Sunday, the same bat time and same bat channel as always, and
All
have
right.
some more action to debate
All right. Sounds good. So take it easy, guys, and thanks for joining us.
later.